their half of the first inning. Now the Red Sox step to the plate here in the bottom of inning number 1. Pretty skies, but fall is in the air here in Boston. Darren Lewis, who reached base the first 5 times in this series, leads off in center field. John Valentin has scored 5 runs, hitting second. Mo Vaughn, the 7 RBI record-tying performance in the first game, hits third. Nomar Garciaparra has 7 RBIs in the 2 games, hitting fourth. Mike Stanley, now remember, he's the best hitter against Nagy in this lineup, and he got 2 base hits in his last 2 at-bats in game number 2. Maybe he's warming up. Troy O'Leary needs to find the left field wall 6th. Trot Nixon. Nixon's the one in right field, hitting 7th. Scott Hatterberg is the catcher. Mike Benjamin, the second baseman against the right-hander from Fairfield, Connecticut, Charlie Nagy, 15-game winner.
Yeah, Charlie Nagy, 210 innings pitched this year, 250 base hits. 323 batting average was the highest in the American League against him for right-handed hitters. Throws a little sinker, slider, and splitter. Does not miss a lot of bats. 250 hits is a lot of hits in 210 innings.
Not to mention 34 gopher balls, 3rd worst in the American League.
I'm telling you, he is very hittable. He has to be right on, has to keep that ball right around the knees. Does not have very much room for error, but as his playoff record has indicated, he will battle you, and he certainly has been able to dominate these Red Sox of late.
Loves pitching at Fenway. Grew up in Connecticut, as the count is 2-1 to Darren Lewis, but he grew up a Yankee fan, which down in Fairfield County, which is the first county over the New York border, is not unusual. But he said, it's not as if I hated the Red Sox, and that's why I've done well against them. I just have. I don't have an explanation.
Well, you will see a lot of 2-2, 3-2 counts with Charles Nagy. He tries to make pitches. He tries to spot the ball. He's not a power pitcher, and you will see him try to make pitches all day long, will not give in a lot of 3-2 counts.
Charlie started, well, he had a rough opening day start, which we saw in Seattle, but he started well this year, was 7-2, then went in an 0-4 scheme. But down the end was 5-1 in his last 7 decisions, was 3-1 in September. And even though his last start in Minnesota was not a good one, he pitched well for Mike Hargrove in September. He certainly understands the pressure of postseason. And as the count is 3-2, we should just say this. Over 4 years, over the last 4 years, 63 and 32. That's pretty good.
That's
darn good.
That's very good. He keeps you in ball games. You know, his earned run average has been up around 4.5.
Darren Lewis, a couple of hops to Jim Thome will handle it, and there's one out.
The defense, which is of ultimate importance to Charles Nagy, because so many balls put in play. Justice playing left field.
Number 13, the third baseman.
Earlier today, he worked out and caught a lot of balls off the wall. As we see him working out there with not a whole lot of success. Balls hitting all over the place out there. Started 20 games in the outfield this year, 18 in left field. DH most of the time, but may see a little adventure out there today.
Well, as John Valentin steps up, who's been nothing short of brilliant. 4 for 8 with 5 runs scored. It's not that David isn't a good outfielder, it's just he hasn't played there much, and he said he's played left field here a couple of times. Ground ball to Omar Vizquel. Money over to Jim Thome. 2 up, 2 down, and 2 ground ball outs for Nagy thus far.
Great sign for Charles Nagy.
And you know what? This is the ovation for game number 1.
The first baseman,
And of course the lingering, I shouldn't say lingering, the huge question of do you pay him and keep him here? And that has been a all-year soap opera saga, if you will, here in Boston, and will continue. But Mo is just letting his bat do the talking, and so far it's speaking pretty loud.
Yeah, I pay him. I guarantee you I pay him.
Oh, yeah. Ditto me. Of course, we don't have to write the check.
No, we don't. They're going to have to write it to somebody, though, if they're going to compete. It's a fact. Nowadays, you cannot compete unless you dole out that greenback dollar, baby.
0-1 the count to Mo, so
it's that split
that one. Yeah, he's struggled against Charlie. Just hit 1 home run off him lifetime and over 20 at-bats.
Well, that split finger goes straight down, and Nagy, if he can keep his fastball down, that'll appear to be a fastball, and you'll see a lot of those tight swings. See, there's a fastball just 84 miles an hour. You're not going to see him much higher than 88 on the gun. On his best day, he sometimes hits 90, but he's not a power pitcher. As we've said, sinks the ball, that real good slider, almost a slurve that turns real hard away from right-handed hitters, and a split finger.
Chopped into the Red Sox dugout. And another thing you will not see Nagy do very often is come, of course, that was way inside. He's not going to try and do anything bell tie on the inside part of the play. Mo says he works me away, 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 and differing speeds away, away.
Well, it's hard for him to come inside because he has so much movement back over the plate to left-handed hitters. That ball moves right back into the hitting zone, so that's his tendency to go away.
Went away, just missed. Count is 2-2. Nobody on, which, of course, already, we told you about this, the 34 Gopher balls, third behind only Tim Belcher, Woody Williams in the American League. There's a talk to Mike Hargrove about that. We'll get into that in a moment. Grover said, boy, he was really giving up more home runs than usual early on because he was throwing his splitter. He was having trouble getting the splitter over. And he said, don't throw the splitter except for like 2 strike pitches for a while. It got Charlie in a little bit of a better rhythm, and now it's not an issue. He still will throw the splitter, but when he was really going bad for about 6 weeks in the Gopher balls this year, they were sitting on the splitter, which didn't split enough on like a 2-1 pitch. But tell you what, he knew how to handle Mo Vaughn right there. Saberhagen and Nagy doing their thing.
Stepping out with my baby can't be bad because it feels so good. Never felt quite so sunny.
2 here against 4, 5, 6 hitters. Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, and Travis Fryman. Manny with 45 RBI, 45 homers, 145 RBIs during the regular season. He has been their best hitter, no question about that. Of course, in the first 2 games, each time he hit long ball and kind of loafed it a little bit, but the key thing is he's hitting long ball. It's 3 for 7 in the series. Been one of the longest singles we've ever seen.
Yeah, you saw Joey Cora. I saw Joey Cora as I watched the ball game from my hotel room. You know, telling motion for him to go, and the ball hit the left center field. But you can't get in those habits. You know, I don't care how many home runs you hit. You need to run out of the batter's box, full tilt, and then when the ball's out of the ballpark, you can always slow down. But you know, I can't stand to see a guy hit a ball off the wall and end up at first base. Really interesting how Saberhagen started Ramirez off. Ramirez known as a dead fastball hitter, first ball fastball hitter, and Saberhagen started him off with a straight changeup, 73 miles an hour. I love to watch this man pitch, Chris. You know, I saw him when I was managing at Colorado. He was only throwing the ball 80, 81 miles an hour, laboring. He was at the ballpark 10 or 11 hours a day, working his tail off, trying to get back right. But I thought he was done. I mean, he couldn't have broken, as they say, a pane of glass. But he's worked so hard. Now he just comes right at you here. A fastball, no, a breaking ball. He's going to throw a curveball right here. No, that was a fastball. He's using, one is a fastball is going to be, as I now see it, a sinker or a ball that moves back. 2 will be a 4-seam fastball. 3 will then become his curveball, and probably a wiggle, or 4 or 5 will be his changeup. As the game goes on, I'll be able to read the pitches a little bit better. But
Coral up a little higher.
yeah, we're way up here. Here's 2 again. 1, 3, changeup. This should be the changeup. 78 mile an hour changeup.
Count is full now to Manny Ramirez. Hey, what about the Saberhagen family here this afternoon, Ray? Not only does Bret get the start, his wife Lynn sang the national anthem, as she did for opening day here at Fenway this year with Jim Thome on deck. Thome will come to the plate as Ramirez walks on the 3-2 pitch. She sang the national anthem on opening day here, and that was the game in which the Red Sox came from way back, winning in the 9th inning against the Mariners, and a grand slam by Mobone in the 9th off slope.
Pretty good pitch right there. Rich Garcia, the home plate umpire, does not extend the strike zone at all. That ball just off the plate, just below the knees, and Bret does not get the pitch, and there's a very uncommon sight, Bret Saberhagen walking someone.
Jim Thome had a home run off Pedro Martinez in the first game, but that's his only hit in the first 2 games. If the lefty Pete Shirk goes tomorrow, more on that later, it's possible we could see Richie Sexson at first base, the big right-handed hitter, instead of Thome. That could happen for the Indians tomorrow.
So there's some pretty good juice there. 92 miles an hour right there on the inside part of the play. That's his 4-seam fastball, the one that will be the 2 when we look at it again later on, that he rides up in the strike zone. There it is again, 93, and punches him out.
Strikeout for Saberhagen, and after 18 months of not really throwing a baseball and fighting his way back, what about his approach to baseball since his return?
I appreciate the game a lot more now. It's something that, you know, I had always hoped to get back to, but wasn't sure if I was going to. And now that I'm here pitching again and being competitive, you know, that was my main goal. But the main goal after that was to get to postseason. And being back in my first full season pitching after surgery that I had, being out for 2 years, and going to postseason, it's a dream come true.
What a player he has been this year for the Red Sox. 11-3 after Red Sox defeats. Also, theoretically, the Red Sox lost game 2. They feel pretty good about things. That is a big game pitcher, making sure that losing streaks don't happen.
He always has been a big game pitcher, Chris, and one of the really all-time great right-handed pitchers of the 1983 to 93 era there. I mean, nobody wanted to face Bret Saberhagen. As I said, 94, 95 miles an hour. He could, I mean, he juiced that ball. Great slider.
1-0 pitch to Travis Fryman to center field. Darren Lewis loping over toward Gregson. Ramirez back to first. There's 2 outs in the Indians' second. Now, Bret Saberhagen made 6 starts late a year ago, but it was just really to get him back into baseball mode. He came out and was 4-0 with a 1.96 ERA in April, including 2 wins over these Cleveland Indians. And that got him started, and that let the Red Sox know, hey, it's not our number 5 starter on a maybe. This is our number 3 starter big time. That changed the complexion of the whole rotation the month of April that Saberhagen had as he works down to Brian Giles, de-aging today with the strike.
It certainly did, Chris. Early in the year in baseball tonight, we were looking at his pitching staff, and you knew for certain they had Pedro Martinez, and after that, you didn't know what Wakefield would do because as a knuckleballer, uncertain. They had Checo,
Avery, maybe.
Yeah, and Henry went down, and you just said, golly, I don't know if they're going to have enough pitching to be able to survive. And then Bret Saberhagen, as you said, came in there and just did a yeoman's job, gave them over 175 innings and won 15 ball games. And I do believe that he was the key to this ball club believing that they could win, because you start the season with one certainty in your pitching staff and so many questions, it puts a big dent in your confidence.
Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, one of the best in the business. Everybody was just kind of hoping. 1-1 pitches inside to Giles. Make it 2-1. Just one thing at Saberhagen, and this doesn't have much to do with things, but he was always an odd-year pitcher. Remember all his great years with Kansas City and the Mets? 74-30 in odd years, 36-48 and even. So even that changed this year with a big win and even season, with a 15-win season. Count is 2-2 to Giles. Both he and Charlie Nagy each won 15 games this year, Ray, and the team won 19 games in which they started. So it's almost a dead heat between these two. Who will come up bigger today? There's your storyline for
so much about Greg Maddux nowadays with his ability to field and run the bases, swing the bat. That's the same way that people back in the mid-'80s, late '80s thought of Bret Saberhagen. Won 2 Cy Young Awards, won the MVP in the '85 series, as you mentioned. Won 23 games at 1 year. So you're talking about a man that, had he not gotten injured, would have been Hall of Fame bound because he had that kind of arm.
156 and 109. That's his career marks. 2-2, the count to Brian Giles. Strike 3, says Rich Garcia. Saberhagen has struck out a pair here in the second. Ramirez is stranded at first. We head to the bottom of the second here in Boston. No score.
Wherever you go in the great outdoors, eventually.
Boxers tonight on ESPN. Our new series on ESPN 8 Eastern Time, Friday Night Fights. Andrew Galata, Tim Witherspoon, the main event, heavyweight bout. Muhammad Ali will be featured in segments in classic bouts. Brian Kenny, Max Kellerman host the most in-depth and comprehensive boxing show on TV. ESPN 2's Friday Night Fights. Join us tonight. Garcia Parra, Mike Stanley, Troy O'Leary trying to get things going here in the second inning for Boston against Charlie Nagy. Nomar with 7 RBI. Ripped this one to center field. Lofton going back. Makes the catch against the wall. Now, of course, as everyone knows here at Fenway, dead center is not where it is in other parks. That's not 410. Dead center is about 390. But still, that was about 5 feet away from being a wall ball. Nomar was on it, Ray.
Yeah, he was. He hit this ball hard. Kenny Lofton getting a great jump. Absolutely on his horse right at the beginning of this thing. And this is what great outfielders, you judge them by their ability to get jumps on the ball. And he gets back there, finds the warning track, and just eases back into the wall. But I actually was watching the play, not the monitor, and he was off as soon as that ball was made contact with.
Well, Nomar hit him, always has the smile, but he'll sit down and Mike Stanley will come up. For the Red Sox, Mike Stanley wants to help them do things right. Did you see Nagy's head on that? He thought it was gone. Chin was down to the shoes. Play at second base made by Joey Cora, and Stanley is gone. And remember, Stanley, of all the Red Sox, Nagy has owned this Boston Red Sox team. Of all the Red Sox in the lineup, Stanley is the one that's touched in the most with 3 home runs. Look at Charlie's head. Watch this. Here's the crack of the bat, and
Troy O'Leary.
look at that.
Well, the ball just didn't have enough elevation. It was certainly hit hard enough. It was just a line drive, and he knew that ball was a rocket off the bat, but it just didn't get high enough and didn't carry.
Here's a guy the Red Sox need to get going. It's Troy O'Leary, who in the series is 1 for 8. Troy is an inside-out swinger, Ray. He likes to scrape the ball off the wall for a lot of his doubles. And some of the Red Sox brain trust said, well, we wish we could at least bring a little picture of Fenway Park and bring it along on the road. They're hoping that even though he's a lefty, he goes the opposite way some, and the sight of the Green Monster wakes him up at the plate a little bit, because they're going to need hitting other than just the top hill. And then Stanley woke up at the end of game number 2. They're going to need more hitting than just the top of the line. There you go. And case in point, at home, 100 points better. There it is. 37 feet high monster.
I think left-handed hitters feel like they're hitting more in a cage. You always seem to hit the ball better when you're in a cage because the surroundings are brought in, the focus is sharper. And I think left-handed hitters here, not only because the wall's there.
Well, he pulls it, and Jim Thome is there, and Charlie Nagy 6 up, 6 down for him thus far. Red Sox killer Charlie Nagy doing his stuff. We are scoreless at the end of 2. Sandy coming up.
Picture this, man. You're walking alone by yourself. It's dark out, and you trip. You fall off the curb, man. You lose your balance, and you go down hard on the knee. But get this, man. The 501 jeans are hard. Man, they're so hard that concrete doesn't even touch them. But get this. The jeans scuff your skin. Man, the jeans are so hard, they scuff you.
between Bret Saberhagen and Charlie Nagy here in the top of the third in a pivotal Game 3 of the best-of-5 series between the Indians and the Red Sox. Sandy Alomar Jr. steps up, and we've talked for the first couple of games on what about the worst offensive season that he's ever had. He's hurt. 6 homers, 235, but yet you turn on the light in the postseason, 3 for 7, couple of doubles. Just to show, did he go? Yes, sir, 2 strikes. He had 3 doubles in his last 14 games in the regular season, Ray. And he's got the 3 doubles in the 2 postseason games. You turn on the light, these guys know what time it is.
It's just a matter of concentration, Chris. I don't know what happens, but...
Bat splinters. Garcia Parra to Vaughn. Alomar's gone, 1 out.
But great players have abilities to go to that level that people talk about. You see it in so many different sports. Free throw shooters, golfers making putts, and quarterbacks and hooking up with wide receivers. How many times did you see your favorite team, 49ers, with Joe Montana, and you just see it happen over and over and over again. And Alomar has always been that kind of player, and they somehow just rise to the occasion over and over and over again. I tell you, as a catcher, it's hard to have a good year in and year out. You get beat up so much. That's what's amazing about Rodriguez in Texas, how he's hit 305 years in a row. Some kind of talent. I know Johnny Bench seemed to have a great year, then an average year, then a great year and an average year, because, I mean, their toenails are beat up, their knuckles or their forearms, they're just beat to death.
They say he can catch for us at any time he wants. 0-2 pitch to Joey Cora. Fastball misses outside. Cora coming over in the middle of the season from the Seattle Mariners, so even though he hasn't been in the postseason with these Indians, he certainly knows what it's all about. The Mariners have been there in recent years. Sky. Mo Vaughn calling for it. No, now it's Benjamin behind him. Mo is the deke. That was like the fake fair catch and let it roll into the end zone, you know. But that's Benjamin's ball in that particular case, and they're 2 up and 2 down for Saberhagen as we move to the top of the order, and Kenny Lofton.
Another thing I look at with pitchers is posture and how they actually stand on the mound and how they look to appear. When you watch Saberhagen, he's out there, he looks as if he believes he can win. And he's always looked that way, even when he couldn't throw the ball hard. But he has that posture, that demeanor, that presence that just exudes confidence, and people feast off of that. His teammates feast off of it. The opposition doesn't.
You know what Kenny Lofton can do at the top of the order? A home run on Pedro Martinez in Game 1, albeit at that point it was, you know, an 8-0 game, and he and Tomey went deep. One thing about Saberhagen is we'll keep our eye on this, Ray, and first time through the lineup this year, opponents hit .216 against them. Second time through, .288. Third time through, if he makes it through, .304. So he certainly has done a heck of a job. There it is, the first time through, and today that, you know, he gave up 1 walk and retired the other 8 guys. So we'll see if second time or third time is a charm for the Tribe. Not here. Saberhagen is still the snake charmer here at Fenway. We head to the bottom of the third of a scoreless game in Boston.
You heard about the high endurance deodorant?
24-year-old Trot Nixon, Christopher Trotman Nixon, Wilmington, North Carolina. I don't know if they're looking for lightning in a bottle a la Shane Spencer with the Yankees, but he swung the bat well after his call-up on September the 6th. Made the postseason roster, pinch hit, got aboard, and hitting number 2, and the Red Sox were thinking about creeping in that game number 2. And Darren Bragg 1 for 11 lifetime against Charlie Nagy also had something to do with the move by Jimmy Williams.
Trot Nixon, very good low ball hitter. Nagy keeps the ball down. Jimmy thought it'd be a good matchup.
Well, 7 up, 7 down for Charlie Nagy thus far. And hey, what a series. This is 1-1. What a series that San Diego-Houston series was coming in. You know, a lot of people forgot about the Padres, right? You can't forget about it with Kevin Brown and Greg Vaughn as they won game number 1. Jim Frito-Leyritz with the tying homer yesterday in the 9th, only to see Billy Spires deliver for the Astros in the bottom of the 9th. We will have that game 3 from the Murph at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. Tomorrow on ESPN. That'll be our game late. Stay up late. And
that would be just right for me, man.
Well, I tell you what.
11 o'clock game would be just right for me.
But I tell you what, you and I might be doing that.
Yes, we may.
We'll see. There's details to follow. By the way, as Scott Hatteberg, who caught game 1 and did not catch as Varitek did in game 2, steps to the plate. Count is 1-1 on him if Texas wins tonight and forces a game 4 of that series. And they just need a couple of hits from some of their big guns to do it the way they've been getting the pitching. Then that game 4, would be on ESPN, 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central, 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Then we would have a doubleheader if the Rangers-Yankees go 4 games. Our friends at NBC and Fox also telecasting tomorrow. So if it's wall-to-wall baseball you want, you got it. Series and this series 16 times again. We've had this division round in 4 years. Only 4 of them, the 2 including that we just mentioned, have gone 1-1. It's usually 2-0 somebody. So we haven't had this sort of game 3 in a lot of series in this division round before. Little chopper. Cora. Tomey. Hatteberg is gone. Ray, I mean, these pitchers who understand what's going on here in the postseason, understanding the importance of game number 3. I think Charlie Nagy and Bret Saberhagen have shown us they mean business today.
Well, Nagy keeping the ball down. That's the 6th ground ball out of 8 outs. And from the onset, we said that he had to keep the ball down, and he's doing that. And the only ball that he really got up and ball that was hit hard was Garcia Parra's rocket to center field in the second inning.
Private Benjamin looks at strike 1. Benjamin 1 for 7 in the series. Possesses some of the longest sideburns in the league. Hoping to burn the Indians here.
See, those pitches right there are starting right about knee high and going downward. He has that fastball and a sinker and a slider, slurve, and all those balls go downward. And as a result, you have people hitting the top of the ball, but you get it up around thigh high, then they can do something with it. That ball again starting just below the knee, diving downward. That's a true sinker, 88 mile an hour. Here it is again. Look at it starting right about knee high and just barely missing the strike zone, but with good downward movement.
Movement indeed. 9 up, 9 down for Charlie Nagy. We've played 3 goose eggs.
Baseball fans, here's a Major League offer you can't refuse. Just call 1-800-8-POP-FLY to request a MasterCard that has your favorite team logo right on the front. This special edition Major League Baseball credit card has no annual fee and a low introductory annual percentage rate. So join the team today by calling 1-800-8-POP-FLY and get an officially licensed cap with your team's logo sent to you free the first time you use your card. That's 1-800-8-POP-FLY for the official credit card of Major League Baseball.
Okay, folks, what'll it be? Sweetheart?
A Pepsi, please.
We only got Coke.
Sarge, you fight for freedom?
Sure.
Freedom of choice?
Yep.
I lived my whole life believing in freedom. That everyone, man, woman, or child, is free to be who we want, live how we want, and choose what we want. No Pepsi? You might as well tell me there's no Santa Claus. Come on, Grandpa.
Where are we going now?
To a far better place.
A lot of folks in Johnson City, Tennessee will tell you when you need a part for your car, go to AutoZone. The parts are top quality, the prices are low, and the people are helpful, like Gary Jennings. You see, when it comes to auto parts, folks will tell you Gary really knows his stuff. Oh, sure, they know there are other parts stores in town, but when it comes to getting the right part, the right price, and good advice from folks like Gary, there's just no place better than AutoZone.
Sometimes the toughest decision is deciding when to make your move. If you've been waiting to refinance, make your move now with the new Ultimate 125 loan from First Plus. It lets you refinance up to 125% of the value of your home, no equity required, so you can consolidate bills and get extra cash all in one loan. Make your move count with the new Ultimate 125 only at First Plus.
Hey, son, get back here.
Call 1-800-510-PLUS.
Jim, one of my old students, John Panico, his work in the Joe Namath Pantyhose commercial inspired.
So he was the director, huh?
No, he shaved Joe's legs. NFL Countdown, Sundays at 11, Mondays at 6:30 on ESPN. A look at the 37-foot monster with the 23-foot screen on top of it and then over and above onto the Mass Pike. If you can hit it way back and gone, as many have done here over the years, no one's touched Bret Saberhagen or Charlie Nagy this far. 3 innings, no runs, no hits. Then we begin here with 2-3-4 in the 4th for the Indians. Omar Vizquel, David Justice, Manny Ramirez, Chris Berman along with Ray Knight. Glad you could be with us on our continued coverage of the majority of the games in the division series here on ESPN. We're very proud and always excited to bring it to you, especially this season and all seasons. Count as 1-1 to Vizquel, who fouled. Well, actually, it was a fair ball. Ended up by the time the wind got done with it, pop up right in front of the plate. John Valentin in inning number 1. Omar hit 9th the first game, but game 2 and game 3 hitting in the second hole. Coming on is Lewis in center field. And he makes the catch. There's 1 out. Hey, we got some great football for you here. Sunday night, 3-1 Seattle Seahawks at 3-1 Kansas City Chiefs at 8:15 Eastern Time, following NFL prime time. Then on Monday Night Football on ABC at 8 Eastern, the Green Bay Packers in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, 4-0 against 4-0 Minnesota. So not bad when you can spin 14-2 as the two teams, the 2 games here on ESPN. As we remind you that ESPN and ABC is your exclusive networks for primetime NFL football.
Again, Bret starting off a fastball hitter with a changeup. Ramirez, he starts off with a changeup. Just as a changeup, he comes right back with it, Chris. Let's see if he busts him inside now with that four-seam fastball to make him think something a little different. Gonna go with a changeup again. 3 changeups in a row.
2-1 to David Justice.
That tells you a little bit of something. He doesn't want to give David Justice a fastball to hit. See what he does 2-1. I would be surprised if he came back with something else soft. I know one thing. He's not going to throw him. I don't believe he'll throw him a fastball. Another changeup. No. 3. That's going to be a curveball. I'm not reading these signs too good today. Good fastball right there, challenging him. A little bit of sink to it. So far, he's thrown a fastball on a 1, 2, and a 3. Now, I know that's a changeup.
Skies this one. Center field is Darren Lewis. Left center makes the play. So 2 fly ball outs here. And all of us, baseball fan or wherever you are, thinking about Darryl Strawberry and the news of his colon cancer. And you only wish Straw the best. Surgery tomorrow. And number 39 on Moe's hat. Certainly, he made a year, Darryl Strawberry, and you can only wish you the best, Darryl.
Great friend of mine, Darryl. You know, the world is there with you, man. We're praying for you. I know how strong you are and how tough you are mentally. Your buddy Eric Davis went through it, and he came back and had such a great year, and just let that be a testament of what can happen, but we're there with you, and I know you're hurting, but we're hurting right there with you, partner.
0-1 pitch to Manny Ramirez, who walked, the only base runner in the game. He did go around, says Garcia behind the plate, and cheated first.
See, this is just a pitch that he knows he's a fastball hitter, and he shows him the fastball up in the strike zone. You show a hitter what you know he's looking for, but just out of the strike zone, and Ramirez chases it. '94. Goodness. You don't think these guys are pumped up.
Yeah. Now he's hearing it from all over the yard. They're on their feet and cheering loud in those bleachers. They're still in the sun. They think it's a perfect day out here, huh? Fans want a K. He has 2 thus far. He has 3 thus far. 1, 2, 3, 4th inning for Bret Saberhagen. We go to the bottom of the 4th. A pitcher's duel at Fenway. Bottom of the 4th in a game that is, well, becoming a little bit of a nail-biter already. Darren Lewis, John Valentin, Mo Vaughn against Charlie Nagy, who has been 9 up, 9 down against the Red Sox, a team that he has owned. Again, if you weren't with us at the very start, Nagy, 7-1 lifetime against the Red Sox, 4-0 lifetime here at Fenway Park. But he started Darren Lewis off with 2 balls. Shading in on the grounds to third base is Travis Fryman in case D. Lou, who runs better than any of the Red Sox, decides to drop one down. In looking a little bit for a bunt, but it was still very much to his left, Ray, and a tough play, although one that he thinks he probably should have had.
Well, that's what happens when you have speed as a third baseman. You end up playing a couple of steps shorter, and you cut your range down laterally. The ball gets to you so quickly, it's 1 step generally in a dive. There he is. He's pretty deep there, just average depth, not all the way back with 2 strikes, moving back. That ball is very quick infield here, especially balls that are hit right at home plate.
There goes Lewis as Valentin flies one to left field. David Justice back against the wall, makes the catch, and now Lewis has a long way to go back. It's a close play. That's one of the most unusual things you've ever seen because the runner was going. He didn't pick up the ball. He was past second base. He has to go back and tag second on his way back to first, which made that really exciting.
Absolutely, and I think what happened there with Darren Lewis, because it's happened so many times, he believed that Justice was deking on this fly ball. There's been so many balls hit off the wall. Valentin thinks the ball may be off the wall, but the wind blowing from left to right. I believe he had to pick this ball up, but he thinks that Davis Justice is deking him, thinking the ball's off the wall. Then he turns back, goes back, retouches second base. I think he retouched it. He gets back, barely safe, but that is what happened. Darren Lewis definitely looked in at Valentin, but he thought that ball was off the wall. His left fielders deke all the time here, and then turn around and try to catch the ball on the rebound.
Hey, give Justice the nod. He's only played left field here a couple of games. He did a good job.
Well, all he was doing was trying to catch it, but they've seen so many guys turn up like they're catching the ball.
Yeah.
Yastrzemski used to do it all the time.
Oh, man, all the time. Here's Mo Vaughn, struck out in the first inning against Nagy. 7 RBIs in game number 1 with a pair of home runs. Tying the record, Ray, by Edgar Martinez of the most RBIs in any one postseason game, Game 4 Division Series, Seattle against the Yankees in '95. So Mo in the record books, and Nagy says that's great, but we're in a scoreless game here.
I think that wind, what I was going to say is I think that wind knocked that ball down, don't you, Chris? Because when Valentin hit that ball, he stood and looked at it for a minute, and
yes.
That ball just...
But look at this. We were talking about this during the break, but Lewis hit the first pitch before it was getting going right away. That's left to right. So that wind is definitely blowing in to keep balls from going into the monster. Pass car, base hit for Vaughn. Now Lewis will go to where he was headed the first time. Runners on the corners for Boston with 1 out. So there's your Mo Vaughn, not only power hitter, the Mo Vaughn that contended for the batting title until the last day of the season, won by Bernie Williams.
Well, this is a ball that just did not sink very much, hit very hard up the middle. And Darren Lewis, with that speed that you talked about, easily post in the third. Now, the Red Sox are in business with one of the best RBI men in baseball at the plate.
try to fire up the squad. And the chant is MVP. It could be for Mo. It could be for Nomar Garciaparra, who had 122 RBIs, 7 more than Mo did this year. And he, like Mo, with 7 RBIs in this series.
Well, this is where Nagy gets very careful. He's going to throw Nomar a lot of junk here. Split fingers, breaking balls, fastballs. He's not going to give him a whole lot to hit. Another curveball. Because you know you got Stanley up next. Very slow runner. You got a chance right here as you see this curveball. Nomar pulling off the ball, trying to hit the ball to left field. My point is you've got 2 people here to get 1 ground ball. So he does not have to pitch to Nomar here and just give him a pitch right there to hit. Although you don't want to build big innings, that's the way Charles Nagy pitches. He is not going to give in 2-1.
Chop foul, 2-2 to Garciaparra. Flew out to center field to lead off the 2nd inning.
See, split finger right there, 2-1, split finger. He doesn't care if he goes to 3-1. Now, Nomar has to really protect here and just think about hitting the ball to right field. Nagy can't throw the ball by him. So you just try to hit the ball to right field, and then you're going to be on the breaking ball and the split finger.
Bret. Oh, what a play by Fryman. Cora. They can't quite turn it. Run scores. That took a high hop late on Travis Fryman. He almost turned it 2.
Well, if you look in this game and it's a 1-run game, you're going to look back to this play. That ball was smoked. I mean, smoked down there all the way in the corner. We'd have had runners at 2nd and 3rd. Instead, he 1 run in, almost turns 2. Nomar busting his tail out of there. But tremendous play right there. As you see Nomar running hard all the way. But that ball was a rocket, Chris. And I tell you, I've been over there many times. That ball coming up like that after you've already started to make you dive is a very difficult play. Travis made it and may have turned this into a 1-run inning as opposed to a crooked number up on that board.
RBI, Garciaparra, his 8th of this now 3-game series. And Mike Stanley, who grounded to second base, looks at strike 1. Stanley coming over from Toronto, who kind of started their fire sale, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're in this race, and they already dumped a couple of their players.
Yes,
right? Guzman gone. Stanley gone. As Garciaparra will get the dirty jersey, as Nagy will keep an eye on him.
But sometimes what happens, you allow other people to play, you get Cruz back, and by eliminating people that are good players, you can also improve your ball club by allowing other people to get into those spots. And Toronto obviously did.
Inside to Stanley, 1-1.
Red Sox last in the league in stolen bases. Absolutely last in the league in stolen bases. Garciaparra can run, Lewis can run, but those are the only 2 guys that basically even try to run on this ball club. And this is the time that I would contemplate running here. What you have is 2 strikes on the hitter down in the count. Probability of Nagy throwing some type of off-speed pitch. And even if you're thrown out, you start the inning off with a good hitter leading off. And Sandy Alomar's thinking the same thing. As he puts down split fingers, it means throw over the first base. Catchers have directives. Throw over, step off, slide step. Usually they use the split finger and then a number to indicate what they want him to do.
Swung on and missed. So Nagy bounces back. A fine play by Fryman, but the Red Sox scratch through. We've played 4. 1-0 Boston.
I called Noble.
And as the Tribe comes comes to the plate.
Jim Tomey.
Sports Center at 7. Following us here, this game at Fenway. If you want to see the Yankees and the Rangers from Texas, Game 3, our friends at NBC will have that for you. Sports Center with Linda and Steve Levy afterwards at 11 o'clock. And baseball tonight with Ravi and Peter Gammons and Al Leiter. Al's been great in the studio, as we knew he would be. With the striped tie last night. I mean, you know, that's a Jersey type guy. So we hope you've enjoyed our continued coverage of baseball tonight before all the festivities begin and after it's all over. We'll see if the Yankees are moving on or if Texas makes some swipes. Lowell has the lead here. The National League swings back tomorrow. Everybody going tomorrow if necessary. Jim Tomey, Travis Fryman, Brian Giles. Tomey, center field. Darren Lewis back, looking up. Jim Tomey hit that ball because it wasn't in the teeth of the wind, but it cut through that crosswind. I figured it would get beaten down at the end and go off the wall. But instead, we almost lost our cameraman.
I don't think that ball got high enough to be affected by the wind. Chris, that ball was pretty much a line drive. You see the ball come off his bat. It looks like it goes up, but it did not get much higher than the flag out there, and the ball just carries. And again, I think that ball probably was left center and moved back to center field with that strong wind blowing from left to right. But this is a part of the game that you're going to see these pitchers start to change. Saberhagen only into the 6th inning this year 7 different times. Has gone 5 2/3 average over the course of the season. So as a result, he's going to start getting balls up in the strike zone due to being tired or fatigued. Let's just see if it has an effect. It certainly may have already.
Tomey's 2nd home run of the series, and I hope Dina Sheldon, our camera woman out there, is okay. I think so. I think we got the thumbs up. There, okay. All right, Dina, and there's the ball. Perfect. Good job. And right, you heard the thud. I tell you what, we get a good view of the rotation on that.
She's still looking up. She thought that ball went right off. We did.
Figure you got to be safe 390 feet in center field. Travis Fryman ground ball to Valentin. Long throw to Vaughn, his Seton Hall teammate, Pawtucket teammate, Red Sox teammate. 1 out. Tomey hit a home run here, of course, in Game 3 of the clincher in '95 off Tim Wakefield's support of Charlie Nagy. Curled that one around the right field foul pole that night, Friday night game. This one, Friday afternoon, we go dead red, really, right? Dead away center field. Just a little thing about center field here at Fenway. Now, if there was a World Series here, maybe they would open these seats up again. But right to where Tomey hit the home run, that's an area called Knig's Corner. Tony Conigliaro, the late Tony Conigliaro, one of the finest young hitters at the time. And they used to sell all those seats, and summer with the bright shirts and everything was very difficult to see the baseball when the pitcher had an overhand delivery. And they think that maybe that had something to do with the night that he was beaten by Jack Hamilton of the Angels. Rip. No! Vaughn is there! As he robs Brian Giles. Fine play by Mo Vaughn. But again, just to finish the story, they don't sell those seats anymore, and Mo wasn't worried about that corner.
A quick reaction here. This ball is a rocket. Sweet play by Mo, catching the ball almost behind him there. That ball get rattling around on that corner, and you're talking about a lot of angles. You try hitting one down in that right field corner and see what happens. This ballpark has more angles than any park in baseball, no doubt about it. Trying to create something like it down there at Pro Players Field, but look at all the angles in this ballpark. That is the right field corner there. Center field.
Well, that's right center field at 420. Dead center is more like 390. And again, that they don't sell those seats, so you get the batters a chance to see the ball coming. And of course, left field is an adventure all to itself.
Right down the left field and the right field line, you have no room at all. I mean, that foul line runs something that comes into play here, Chris, too, is that third base wall so often, and the first base wall, when balls are hit down that corner, the shortstop has to go out and get them because the ball caroms right back out in the short left field right behind the shortstop.
When teams come in here for the first time, Ray, they go out and take the shortstop and practice the carom.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did. When I came in here with the Mets in the World Series, we did that. Rafael Santana was out there. I was out there seeing if the ball would carom back at all, but it's got such an angle that it always caroms back towards short left center field, and left field, and the shortstop has to make that play.
Saberhagen rear-backed and fired. He was upset off the smoker by Thome and the line drive by Giles. 1-1 heading to the bottom of the fifth.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch. Copy that, Houston.
A lot of furnaces only know one speed.
2, 1.
But American Standard makes gas furnaces with more efficient
Next score in the bottom of the fourth. The Indians answer on Jim Thome's home run to straightaway center field. We are 1-1. Charlie Nagy works to Troy O'Leary, Trot Nixon, and Scott Hatteberg. 6, 7, 8. Leary grounded out down the line to first base to Thome, his first time up. Just 1 for 9 in the series thus far. Very productive season with 23 home runs and 83 RBIs did O'Leary. Popular name up here in Boston, of all places, in St. Patty's Day, Troy O'Leary. Recovers in time, and O'Leary's gone. He's now 1 for 10. But we told you the second time through against Bret Saberhagen how the teams have batted better against him. For Charlie Nagy, it's pretty similar as well, Ray. ERA in innings 1 through 4 this year, very good. Well, they're good, 3.85, but about doubles that.
Yeah, doubles. 7.49. That's a lot of runs there. And again, when pitchers start getting a little tired, a little fatigued, their legs get tired, especially this time of year. They don't have quite as much zip with their fastball. Their movement is a little more slight. It's not as quick and as late.
Full rip by the youngster, Trot Nixon, and he's behind 0-2. So you know that Charlie's going to try to make him swing a couple of times at balls right here, Ray.
Yes, he will. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to a 3-2 count if Trot is patient enough.
It's actually close to the corner, though. He has a hack at that.
He does. And I like Joe Morgan's theory, and it was always my theory. A lot of these people get called out on third strikes on balls near the plate. Boy, when you get 2 strikes, you better hack. You got to expand that strike zone 3 or 4 inches, up, down, in, and out. That's when you got to become your most aggressive.
Little bleeder to left field. Justice coming on, and he makes the play. So he's deeped out there. He's made a fine running catch. It's not like he wasn't a good outfielder with Atlanta.
No, he was always a good outfielder. He always threw the ball well. A very solid outfielder. Played right field there in Atlanta and played it very, very well. And here, left fielder gets a good jump. And again, you don't have a lot of ground to have to cover out there. You're only talking about, right at 300 feet to that wall and then the shortstop. So you're only talking about maybe 10, 15 yards that you really have to cover. Bloopers are very difficult to get here in this park.
Scott Hatteberg grounds it to Joey Cora. So Charlie Nagy, after having Thome pick him up and knot the game at 1, goes a 1, 2, 3, 5th.
It's about peace. It's about love. And it's just about over. So join the millions who've already been to make that.
The sun, and who will the sun shine on? The Indians or the Red Sox? We are 1-1 as we head to the 6th inning, and Ray, after 14 runs scored in the first game of the series and 14 runs scored in the second game of the series, you had a feeling we're going to have a little bleeder at some point. And boy, do we have it. Bret Saberhagen and Charlie Nagy have been outstanding. The Saberhagen has given up just the 1 hit and 1 run to the Red Sox. Let me get untangled here. Just the 1 run and 1 hit for Cleveland against Saberhagen. 1 run on 2 hits for the Red Sox against Charlie Nagy. Just the dinger by Thome. As we go to the bottom.
efficiency is so key to being able to get deep into a game as a starter, maintaining your stuff. Right now, we're looking at Saberhagen is at 70 pitches, 14 pitches per inning, which is excellent. We're only looking at 12 pitches per inning for Nagy, so both these men should still maintain their quality of pitches because they have not been exhausting their pitch count. Generally, a major league starter that's a solid starter, as we look at Nagy there, will average 15 pitches per inning. So that'll get you to about 105 pitches after 7 innings. Both of these men under that number.
Working away to Cora. He strikes out. 1 out here in the Indians' 6th. 5 Ks for Saberhagen.
Well, this is just a straight changeup here, and he just turns over, gets on the inside of the baseball, causes the ball to go away like a screwball. Look at it coming right at you. Inside-out rotation. Nasty little changeup.
You'd take this line most of the time on the hill, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, you would. Again, right
How about all the time? Kenny Lofton, 0 for 2, shows bunt, fouls it back.
Well, you mentioned, Chris, at the outset of this game how few times Saberhagen has gone 7 all the way back to June, right?
It hasn't gone to 7 since the end of July.
Since the end of July.
Of course, this pitch count's pretty low.
It is very low. But there's a reason for that, and that's because he normally, when he gets to around 85, 90 pitches, he becomes ineffective. His fastball loses a mile or 2 on it. His breaking ball is not as sharp, but he's not deep enough into that pitch count right now to show any weak bad effects. He's still got his good stuff. Another changeup here. Starting to go to that changeup and look at the movement of that changeup down and away.
Hit to right field. Long way back is Trent Nixon. Gone. That's exactly where the wind is going. To right center field, from left to right. And Kenny Lofton, of all folks, has 2 homers in the series, and the Indians have a 2-1 lead.
Well, that's on the 77th pitch, and again, watch this pitch. This ball is right down the middle, a little bit of movement away after 2 changeups. Lofton sitting on the fastball, gets it up in that jet stream, just out of the reach there of Trot Nixon. The ball only traveling about 385 feet, but Saberhagen makes a mistake, and Lofton jumps all over it. He knew it. Look at this reaction here. Keeps looking back and seeing if somebody's going to come back with the baseball.
Well, I know. I mean, the reason I didn't call it right away is he looked back, but it wasn't a convincing fist in the air until he looked back the second time. Right in the sun and the shadows, Nixon gave it an effort. Here's Mo Vaughn. Will squeeze this in foul ground, and Vizquel is gone. So leadoff homer by Thome in the 5th inning and a 1-out homer by Lofton in the 6th. Those guys each have 2 homers in this series, and Cleveland has the lead for the first time this afternoon.
The left fielder, David Justice.
Lofton's 2nd lifetime homer against Saberhagen. So, I mean, you're not talking about a guy that goes deep very often.
He hit 12 home runs this year, Chris.
Which is, for him, a lot. He had 44 going into the season. So we're talking about a guy with 56 lifetime home runs, and he's gone deep twice here in this postseason so far. Count is 1-0 on David Justice. And now, it's only 2-1, but you know how, if not negative, let me use the word pessimistic,
well,
the New England folk have been regarding the Red Sox.
I didn't know what you were going to say, but all of a sudden it's deathly quiet.
It's just 2-1.
2-1.
But I can't describe the fatalistic attitude.
It's just the 6th inning here. My goodness.
This is a mile high. Mike Benjamin near the line, now in foul ground, and Justice is gone. But home run for Kenny Lofton. 2-1 Cleveland.
Night football, Seattle at Kansas City. Then, Monday at 6:30, it's Monday Night Countdown. The NFL is on ESPN.
Back Back at Fenway Park, what you would want in a postseason game, Ray. Some great pitching, a little long ball. Kenny Lofton, 56 lifetime home runs. He's got the Indians the lead. It's been a great game.
It has been. Both of the pitchers doing what they came out to do. Saberhagen just throwing that fastball and the curveball and the changeup. Nagy really effective with that sinker down in the strike zone. Not a whole lot of offense, but 2 bombs.
Working with the lead for the first time this afternoon. We'll start with Mike Benjamin, who he struck out to end the 3rd inning, and Darren Lewis and John Valentin. Just 2 hits for each team. The difference is that Cleveland has had the 2 home runs.
Good curveball there from Nagy. Has thrown mainly fastballs and splitters thus far this evening. Now starting to break out that curveball.
Little grounder to Travis Fryman. Over to Tony. There's 1 out. Dare we say, 20 years ago, at almost exactly this time, in this park, 2-0 lead, 7th inning, Mike Torres delivers the unlikely bat of Bucky Dent. 3-run home run as Yaz can only watch it go. And it ended up being the Yankees over the Red Sox in this park. 1-game playoff, and no one, everyone in New England remembers where they were during that hit by, as they affectionately call him, Bucky Bleeping Dent up here in New England. And there's Kenny Lofton, who maybe almost as unlikely a man to hit a home run. Now, it's not exactly the same circumstance, but 20 years ago, a late afternoon start, same day. Oh, man. It's just dripping with iron. It's awful. For those who grew up here.
The only thing is they still have to get the Red Sox out.
Well, he remembers.
12 more times. 12 more outs, brother. 11 more outs.
What a year Jimmy had that here, huh? Morton Cole bases. All for naught. It's just eerie that it's the exact same day. Hit pretty well to center field, but Lofton is there. Dennis Eckersley was here, sitting right around where he is. And you know what? Eck looked then about the way he looks now.
He hasn't changed much.
Not at all. That's what he's. Remember one time.
The 3rd baseman.
Yeah, he doesn't wake up. Well, now he might wake up around the 7th or 8th inning since he's more of a setup man.
Yeah.
But back then he didn't wake up to about 1 out in the 9th. Usually they started him pretty clean, didn't they?
Oh, no, then he was 20-game
Oh, he was a starter, wasn't he?
Yes, he
My
was.
gosh, that was long.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, hey.
Heck, maybe back next year, you know, for his 25th season. Well, we go back to that time, and it just makes you all aflutter. John Valentin, base hit. A base runner on now for Mo Vaughn. And the crowd knows it. Listen to them come up now with Vaughn coming up and Valentin after his 5th hit in the series. Mo struck out and singled, 5 for 11.
Well, first at bat, he threw Mo nothing but split fingers down on top of the plate. Then he started him off with a fastball, gets a base hit through the middle of the infield. As Joey Cora calls timeout, for some reason they call the umpires in.
Not sure what this is, Ray.
I have no idea.
Garcia and Terry Kraft, the home plate and 3rd base umpire, talking about. But Joey Cora called time right away. He came running in. At any rate, back to Mo Vaughn and the issue at hand. Valentin, his longtime teammate, leads off first base. Charlie Nagy trying to protect a 2-1 lead. Way ahead of that one. He's just rotating the speeds again on Vaughn, strike 1.
Well, here he is taking a lot off the curveball there, and Mo missing it about a foot. Jim Torres because he doesn't want to play behind him and let a ball get down in that corner with 2 outs and score the run. He's going to stay right there on the line here in the 6th inning. A lot of people with a runner not apt to steal would play behind the runner with 2 outs right up behind him, but
You like the move?
I would hold him on. I would hold him on because I don't want the ball to go down in the corner. Now, if you get behind him, then certainly that gives you more range to the right, but Joey Cora is playing more in the hole, and he's kind of taking up the slack to cover that area.
To Cora, over to Tomey, Valentin is stranded, and we have played 6 here at Fenway. 2-1, Cleveland. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, but we got a fight going on right here. Not a fight, but just an old-fashioned dogfight pitcher's duel. Indians and Red Sox trying to get the upper hand. The Indians trying to wrest home field advantage back from the Red Sox if they can win it. And they've got 9 outs to do it. Manny Ramirez, Jim Tomey, Travis Fryman against Bret Saberhagen, and the count is 1-1.
Saberhagen had his 86th pitch, and the Red Sox bullpen already juicing up out there. Swindell and Derek Lowe.
Ramirez to left field. Troy O'Leary looks up. Goodbye. That one was hit in the teeth of a wind, which has died a little bit. 3 solo home runs. Tomey in the 5th, Lofton in the 6th, Ramirez in the 7th. 3-1 Tribe.
Number 25, the first baseman.
Again, look at the location of this pitch. Fastball right up there, letter high, just asking to be hit. And you go back and look at the scorecard through 4 innings, nothing hit hard. Then the home run in the 5th, home run in the 6th, home run in the 7th. And it goes to show you why Bret Saberhagen has trouble in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning. As he gets tired, he loses his ability to locate.
So Manny Ramirez, 45 home runs in the regular season. 46 he attacked this one on. We told you Derek Lowe, the righty who we saw in Cleveland, and we also saw Greg Swindell, the lefty, in Game 2. Right there! Tomey, who homered in the 5th inning. Count is 2-1. It's about at this point that the debate raging through New England today was, what if the Red Sox lose Game 3? What do they do? Tomey ripped now they call it the out, as Benjamin makes the throw just in case. What if the Red Sox lose Game 3? Does Pedro Martinez go in Game 4? Jimmy Williams has been staunch in saying win or lose.
Number 17,
the
third baseman.
Pedro has
Travis
trouble on 3 days rest, not only here, but also in Montreal. He reiterated about 5 times. Joe Kerrigan says it. You know, we pitched a lot of pitches here down the stretch, that we don't want to pitch him on 3 days rest. Of course, you hope to win Game 3 and make it a moot point. What do you do if we go on and there's a Game 4 in which the Red Sox could be eliminated? Do you have a guy you picked up a month ago, go for it instead of Pedro Martinez, right?
Well, nobody knows more about this ball club than the manager, and I don't care how many radio shows you watch or listen to, and how many talk shows and how many newspaper articles you read. That man, Jimmy Williams, knows more about this ball club than anything. 0 times this year has Pedro gone on 3 days rest, so I think he's doing the right thing, pitching in the 5th game, if there in fact is a 5th game.
Valentin across the diamond is gone, and Travis Fryman is gone. So he says he's not going to do it. And I mean, you know, of course he can make his decision anytime he wants. He can make it tomorrow.
Well, you know, you got to win tomorrow's game, obviously, but you can't do it. You got to have Pedro effective. And you also can't send a signal to the rest of the players of this ball club that Pete Shurk or whomever they choose to start that ball game does not have a chance to win. And the last thing you want to do is take a chance in hurting a man that is your ace of the staff. And since he has not gone on 3 days rest all year, I just don't see it happening.
Foul back just side of us. Brian Giles is 0 for 2. So Cleveland with 3 hits, all of them home runs.
Now, the Pedro goes in tomorrow morning and says, hey, Skip, I feel great. I want to go out there. I feel like I'm our best chance to win. And, you know, the manager will always listen to that. But I don't think you subject a young man to that unless he comes to you. And then again, I just don't know if it's the best thing to do.
Well, suffice it to say, it'll be a debate for 24 hours up here. Will he or won't he? Of course, the Red Sox can make that a moot point and come back and win this thing. And sure, it would go as expected against Bartolo Colon. Missed outside. One thing, Manny Ramirez on the home run, we didn't have to worry about going into a full gallop on it. It was gone. He can try. He didn't have to hear us say, you know, Manny, run this thing, man.
But I think he was coming out of the box running.
Yeah, he was.
For a change. For a change.
He was. Because I wasn't sure that would cut through. I knew he drilled it, but the wind is much less now. As a matter of fact, the flag is almost still than it was even an hour ago. An hour ago, that might have scraped off the top of the wall and not been a home run, Ray. It was that close. Giles staying alive. He is struck out and lined out to first baseman Mo Vaughn. Well, see, now it was just done, and now it's blowing again. But Old Glory was out there
just
like
gusting.
a postage stamp before.
Yeah, it's just gusting, Chris. You know, the wind's gusting, and as in ballparks like this, with the high walls, sometimes that wind gets out there and it takes the ball the opposite way in which it shows you. As you see in a lot of the circular stadiums, you think the wind's blowing out, and it hits that outside wall and comes back, and it actually knocks the ball down.
First hit that was not a homer for the Indians. Brian Giles, the
Number
DH.
15, the catcher,
Bring up Sandy Alomar.
Sandy Alomar.
100 pitches now for Saberhagen.
This will be Bret's last inning. I feel certain of that. And again, I mean, he's done a great job just not walking anybody, giving up just 4 hits, just 3 of them bombs, keeping his team in the ball game, giving them a chance to win.
Strike call to Alomar. Hey, the Red Sox will take 7 innings pitched, 3 runs and 4 hits for Saberhagen any time.
Any team better take that.
Yeah.
In any league.
It's a mark of how you pitch. You give up 3 homers, and they're all solo home runs. 2 pitchers in the Hall of Fame, 2 of the very, very best. Jim Palmer, Catfish Hunter. You check their home runs that they gave up. Lots. Solos, though. Napoleon solos. But in this case, Nagy has more than matched him thus far.
In the league in runs scored, scoring over 850 runs. That's almost 5.5 runs per inning. Look at here, he's never really on the mound. He was behind the mound there, never actually towed the rubber trying to trick.
Well, Red Sox scored more runs than Cleveland this year, which might surprise some people. Higher batting average. And you look at the lineup and the names and you wouldn't think so, but they did this year. So you look at that name in the lineup and you say, okay, let's see how they do.
Yeah, he's going to put up about 200 of them. He's going to put up about 200 more.
Yeah.
That's 400 when you look at the RBIs and their runs scored. Brian Giles, 10 stolen bases this year in 15 attempts.
Tried to tomahawk a pitch out of the strike zone. Another bomb for Manny Ramirez, and Cleveland thus far has had a host of heroes.
Now 800-537-7070 to relive the drama, the emotion, the celebration of this historic event. Call 1-800-537-7070 to order this special collector's video. Only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Own a piece of baseball history. This has been a message from Major League Baseball.
At Fenway, Charlie Nagy's mom, Fran, on the left, his wife, Jackie, on the right, watching him deliver to Nomar Garcia-Carroll. One pitch, one out here in the 7th inning, and they like it as Justice squeezes it, and Nagy and the Indians are 8 outs away from regaining the upper hand in the series, or gaining the upper hand. But Charlie has pitched a whale of a game tonight, which it is now almost night. Remember, he is 4-0 lifetime here at Fenway, 7-1 against this team. So business as usual for Fairfield, Connecticut, the University of Connecticut, former #1 pick of the Indians, Charlie Nagy.
People just feel good in some ballparks and some batters' boxes. You see the ball better in some fields, and you get guys in the big leagues that run off stats like this all the time. Chris, when I went to Atlanta, I hit 400 my whole career there. My family came. You know, it was just a real positive feeling. And obviously, Charles Nagy feels a little positive about being back in New England.
31 years of age. You know, he had to endure all winter long being the losing pitcher. 11th inning. Went up the base hit to Renteria. 7th game. Came on in relief. And not that it was his fault that the Indians lost the World Series, but you got to sleep with that for 6 months before you get back on the mound. That's a heavy, heavy load, Ray.
Well, it is a heavy load, but if you're a professional, you just go to sleep that night and you turn the page. You know, you just can't deal with it all the time, or it'll wear you butt out.
Stanley grounds out on a broken bat to Travis Fryman, and there's 2 outs. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Well, we think he's done. We don't know that yet.
Well, he's at 100 pitches. I have to believe that his evening is over.
Troy O'Leary grounds it to Cora. Hey, Nagy just as strong here in the 7th as he was in the first 3 innings when he tired all 9 that he faced. We've played 7, 3-1 Cleveland. ESPN Major League Baseball Division Series is brought to you by 10-10-220. Dial it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. And by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Indians leading here in Boston, and that will be it for Bret Saberhagen, who pitched brilliantly but allowed 3 solo homers to Jim Thome in the 5th, Kenny Lofton in the 6th, Manny Ramirez in the 7th, so he can stand only to lose this game after a valiant effort and a heck of a line. 7 strikeouts.
Oh, he pitched a great baseball game, and you got to figure that a team that averages 5.5 runs a game would be up about 4-3 right now. But Sabes did his job, and now it's up to the Red Sox offense to pick him up as we look at 37 years old.
Jim Golf Coursey.
Golf Coursey, yes, sir. 18th year in professional baseball. Has done a great job for this club after getting called up from Pawtucket. 3-2 is a 2.59 earned run average. Here's a guy that's very tough. I wouldn't want to face him. His ball goes all over the place. Moves, fastball, he sinks it, he runs it. Curveball, slider, changeup, and he just jumps right at you and throws everything. Elbows, back. Had an outstanding game, number 1.
Yeah, Pedro went 7 innings, and he finished up.
The second baseman.
So they're looking for more of the same, although this time in a keep them close type of role as opposed to just close it out role. Cora, Lofton, Vizquel. about these Cleveland Indians, who, as has been well documented by now, lost game 1 of 7 straight postseason series. In the 6 before this, they came back to win 3 of them. Last year, they won, both the division series against the Yankees after losing game 1, the ALCS against the Orioles after losing game 1, and they almost won the World Series after losing game 1. So Red Sox had them down, everyone up here jumping around for good reason. One lantern hung in the Old North Church. They're having trouble hanging that second one. They got the one by land done. They haven't got the one by sea done yet. 3-0 is Corsi to Cora. Kenny Lofton on deck. His home run has given the Indians the lead.
Very professional ball club, this Cleveland Indian club. Reminds me a lot of the Braves, built from top to bottom. Great ownership, great leadership. There you see Hargrove. The great job that John Hart has done with the ball club. They just don't panic, Chris.
Now, Corsi has issued a base on balls, not what Jimmy Williams has in mind. Hey, what we have in mind is some big-time football. Sunday night at 8:15 Eastern, the Seahawks and the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Each 3-1. Monday night football doesn't get better than 4-0 Vikings at the 4-0 Green Bay Packers on ABC at 8 Eastern. We'll start it with the Blast here on ESPN and ABC, your exclusive networks for prime time NFL football. Now there's John Hart in the crowd. You're right. He's personable, as good as it gets at his job, always willing to take a chance. Also helps you got 3.4 million people in the ballpark every year. You got a few shekels to dole out. And he has put together one heck of a team once again. And I think Mike Hargrove is one of the most underrated managers in the Major League. He doesn't get credit because, it's Cleveland. You're in the Central. It's easy. Get the 2 out of 3 World Series, right?
Hey, you're dealing with a lot of things having to go right. And John Hart, as we see him there again, came over from the Baltimore Oriole organization, Hank Peters' protege, and the thing that he does is treat his players right. Was the first to give young players long-term contracts.
Yes, before this team had accomplished what it did.
Right, and tied up the players here, goes out and acquires guys like Justice. He always makes a trade. Burba for a great young player, Sean Casey, early in the year. He's just going to make something happen, and as you said, they have the money up there with Mr. Jacobs to do it.
So the great stories. I mean, just remember 5 years ago what this franchise was. 5, 6 years ago at the old ballpark, just hoping.
Oh, man.
They had the disaster, of course.
I went to the American League in 1987, and Cleveland playing that old park, it didn't seem like a big league city.
Well, here in a hurry is Joe Kerrigan out to the mound because Jim Corsi coming in and throwing 7 pitches, 6 for balls is not what they ordered. There it is. Last 4 seasons, it's just 100% different. You know, even in New England, they talk so much about the curse of the Bambino, and talked about this game 1, Ray, and 80 years since the Red Sox won a World Series in 1918. It goes back to 1948. So this team won it, and oddly enough that year, they beat the Red Sox in a 1-game playoff to win the American League and beat the Boston Braves to win the World Series. So if it's one thing Cleveland can do in the postseason, it's beat Boston. I mean, the old Cleveland. Swindell, the lefty, Dennis Eckersley. The right-hander loosening up.
Good hit-run count here. Lofton handles the bat very well. You know, hit-and-run counts, when you talk as a manager what is a good hit-and-run count, is any count that you as a manager expect that pitcher to throw the ball somewhere around the plate. Obviously 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 are good counts to send your runner.
To Lofton, Cora at first, none out here in the 8th. Jimmy Williams just needs to keep his club within 2 runs. He's got 7, 8, 9 coming up, and you know their bench is not. They don't have a lot of thunder off the bench here, so they may not get something going here to the ninth inning. They can ill afford to give up another run. There goes the base runner. Lofton fouls it. Balancing over. Now the wind plays tricks on him as often as he has played here, albeit just this year at third base.
Well, it doesn't matter whether you play third base, left field, right field, or first base. Most pop-ups are the same. When a left-hander hits that ball, generally it moves toward the foul line. If it's foul, it will generally move on toward the stands. This ball right here, obviously that wind that we've talked about so much, the ball got it, wind got into that ball. That reminds me of me playing out in San Francisco. I missed one pop-up in my career, and I missed it about 20 feet.
Going again is Cora. Coming in is O'Leary, makes the catch, and Cora back to first base. There's one out for Omar Vizquel. The Yankees, can they wrap it up against the Texas Rangers? That's been some great pitching by Boomer Wells and Andy Pettit. Pretty good on Texas's side as well thus far. I tell you that, with Stoudemire, you knew he'd come up big along with Helling. So tonight, Aaron Seeley tries to keep the Rangers in against David Cohn on NBC at 8, following our Sports Center at 7. Our Sports Center at 11 o'clock. Baseball tonight with Ravi and Peter Gammons and Al Leiter of the Mets. Midnight Eastern Time, you can hear all the games, every game on ESPN Radio. We got 4 crews, all the sites, all the AL and NLCS, the World Series coming up. You're in the car, you can't watch TV, turn us on. Omar Vizquel looking for his first hit this series.
John Valentin very tight. Will actually creep forward a little bit more. Vizquel is an excellent bunter. Does not hit a lot of balls sharply down the third baseline. Will hit that ball and shortstop pepper the ball out there all day long. Valentin, reading the scouting report, knows that, and having played against him for about 5 seasons, knows that he has a propensity to drop that ball down there, and if he gets the ball on the ground.
Good move by Corsi right there, Ray. Almost had Cora going the other way.
Well, of course, thinking about running right here, he takes a little extra half step, gets his normal lead, and then he wants to go out there a little farther. 1-0 count, another good running count, and possibility of throwing a breaking ball from the pitcher, and back a little bit better there. But base runners have a tendency to get a lead and get in the habit of taking that extra step.
Just listen, it's a pin drop. You can hear, I mean, you know how excited this place was walking around town today. Red Sox 1-1. All the curse is gone, or at least they won the postseason game after 13 straight losses. Bret Saberhagen going to deal today against the Indians. We're going to move on. We're going to play the Yankees. Oops.
They talk about it too much, Chris. They talk about it too much.
Yes, they do.
The more you talk about it, the more you think about it. And you know, everywhere I've gone, ever since, you know, we played the Red Sox in '86, but even prior to that, to Bucky Dent, to Babe Ruth, there's been all kind of curses here as Bret Saberhagen takes in the rest of the night's action.
Slapping but foul down the line. Of course, until this year when they rejumbled these numbers, these are the retired Red Sox numbers. With, of course, Yastrzemski 8, Ted Williams 9, and Cronin and Bobby Doerr. It did say 9-4-1-8. Those was the old order until they reordered them numerically. 9-4-1-8 was the day before the World Series started, the last time the Red Sox won one. Fly ball down toward those numbers. Frank Nixon is there, and Vizquel is gone. So the World Series in 1918, the last one in which the Red Sox won, began on September 5th, 1918. Oh, no, everyone in Boston knows this. Those numbers would stand there haunting out there. They finally said, let's go in numerical order. Let's get rid of it. And at least make it 1-4-8-9 instead of 9-4-1-8. Get rid of it.
They're just looking.
That's what I mean. With Babe Ruth, of course, won a game in that World Series in 1918 against the Cubs. You talk about star-crossed franchises. They do look, though, it's fatalistic here. Justice is 0 for 3. Meanwhile, back to the present. Hey, how about they open up Fenway Park in 1912, April of 1912, right? And it doesn't make the headlines the next day. They open it up, it doesn't make the headlines of the paper. The Titanic sunk. So, I mean, you know from day one, it's a little different. That wasn't here in 1912, that part. Outside to Justice, 2-1. It's been an adventure for Corsi, albeit there's just still a runner at first base. He's not exactly pitching like he's double parked outside the stadium. They will tell you for that here. 3-1 to Justice.
Really dangerous situation for Corsi here. Justice, one of the best triple hitters in the game. You get him ahead in the count, he looks in an area that he knows that he hammers the ball, and when he gets it, he doesn't miss it very often, so you better be very careful right here.
Count is now full with 2 outs, so don't need us to tell you what Joey Cora, who can scoop, will do. So a ball in the gap. Cleveland may be looking at their 4th run. Playing very deep in left is O'Leary. Considering that Justice obviously has power the left way, but I mean, that's pretty deep for a left-handed hitter with the wind moving left to right. Nixon tracks in and makes the play. Cora is stranded. Corsi eventually does the job. The Red Sox come to the plate in the bottom of the 8th, needing a deuce. Southern New England native Charlie Nagy has twirled a beauty at the hands of the Old Town team. He and the Indians lead the Boston Red Sox 3-1 as we hit the bottom of the 8th inning. And the Red Sox are hoping to get something going at the bottom of the order. But against Charlie Nagy here in Fenway Park, they've never done it. Never beaten it. But Trot Nixon makes it perfectly clear that the Red Sox are not going to roll over and a base hit. Perfectly clear with a leadoff single. Well, Jimmy Williams played a little hunch by starting Nixon. They only have 4 hits, and there's one of them. The Nagy family, Jackie, his wife, his mom, friends, family, looking out, hoping that Charlie's magic can come through. Scott Hatteberg, first pitch, long run in for Justice. Tell you what, he's played left field pretty darn well for someone that's gone out there only 18 times to left this year. 1 out.
Well, one thing that the Red Sox hitters are doing, they're not patient with Charles Nagy. Talked to him before the game, and they said that you have to be patient, make him go deep in the count. You know, as I said, he's always been a pitcher that throws a lot of pitches. He only has 84 pitches at this point, and 5 of the last 6 hitters have swung at the first pitch. So you are not going to make a guy, he's not going to make mistakes if you don't make him work, and the Red Sox hitters are just a little over anxious.
A pinch hitter for the number 9 hitter, Mike Benjamin. Cole Midre Cummings will come in to hit. Been a DH for much of the year, and oddly enough, I mean, to show you what kind of really lack of firepower they have off the bench, often he is DH'd and hit 9th for the Red Sox during the regular season.
That doesn't happen often, does it?
Nope.
DH usually hits around that 4 or 5 spot.
That's the purpose of it.
Isn't it?
But the purpose right here for Cummings is just get a base hit. He does represent the tying run. Breaking ball inside, ball 1.
But you know what I mean? You got to go up there looking for a pitch to hit, a pitch that you can handle, a pitch that you can drive. And Nagy has been throwing that sinker all day long, right over the top of the plate. Everybody's swinging at it.
Down the line, Tomey blocks it a la goalie, makes the play, Nixon trots up to second base with 2 outs. Make sure you get the one. Don't get excited over there, and that's what Tomey did.
Yeah, look at him shading the line there as Cleveland Indians and Grover does with a 2-run lead, protecting against no doubles.
Well, that does is assume, as you look at Paul Orville Ossenmacher, the left-hander, and Paul Shuey, who's looked pretty good in this series, the right-hander up in the pen, that assures that they don't turn it 2 there, that both Vaughn, which we already knew was going to happen, and Garcia Parra will bat again in the ballgame.
Well, this is a big, big inning here. Although there's 2 outs, the Red Sox can somehow get this run in or build an inning, and that's what you have to do. Charles Nagy has not been forced to make pitches. There you see just 86 pitches. He will give you a pitch to hit if you take him deep enough in the count. Just 4 hits in 7 2/3 innings.
2 balls to Darren Lewis. I mean, this word on Nagy, I mean, you know, he's been quiet. People have criticized. He's never lashed back, but he's coming up awfully large in a game the Indians really have to have. And he's come up large against a guy that's pitched very well today, Bret Saberhagen. Strike in the outside corner to D-Lou. You just can't underscore. I know it's a team he's owned, and you said he just feels comfortable.
Look at this pitch here. He just throws the ball outside. That ball, as Alomar reaches out and backhands it, pretty close pitch. We got it as 2-1. They called it a strike, 1-2.
Ground ball is short. Vizquel. Tomey with the scoop. Lewis is gone, and so are the Red Sox. Nagy and the Indians are 3 outs away from taking a 2-game-to-1 lead. We've played 8, 3-1.
They come from all over for the most agonizing test of endurance motorsports has to offer. The heavyweight championship of off-road.
Manny Lofton, 2-1, Cleveland. 7th inning leadoff homer. Manny Ramirez off Bret Saberhagen. And the Indians and Charlie Nagy lead the Sox 3-1 here in the top of the 9th, and now pitching the man that has made more appearances than any pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball. He'll be 44 years young tomorrow. The X, Dennis Eckersley.
Boy, I faced him as a starter. I faced him as a reliever. Did not have a great year this year, but should be in the Hall of Fame. Look at that. 39 2/3, but must put a stop to this Cleveland offense and hold them right here to give the middle of the Red Sox order a chance to do something, as Trot Nixon's base hit proved to be pretty big, so that it allows
Valentin, Vaughn, and Garcia Parra, 2, 3, 4 in the 9th inning. Ramirez, Tomey, and Travis Fryman to face Dennis Eckersley. 1,071 appearances the last week of the regular season, breaking the mark held by Voigt Wilhelm. Began his career with the Cleveland Indians. Mentioned no-hitter as a tribe. That big signing bonus at the time, and went to the worst place you could get to be a young man with money. Played for the Reno Silver Sox, and that bonus was gone in a hurry by his own admission. A few years for the Indians, came over to the Red Sox. Manny Ramirez down the line, back, oh!
Partner, you didn't have much time to say back on that one.
That was a 2-back.
Whoa! That ball was crushed.
Manny Ramirez, who had 5 homers in a 2-game span this year, just a couple of weeks ago, now is it 2 homers and 2 at-bats here at Fenway.
Fastball down, and before you can say back, that thing was gone, baby. That ball was, that's as hard as you can hit a baseball there. I mean, I'm looking up, and you're saying back, and it's hit the screen. That quick. This is how you get.
Look at that. Man, I tip my hat to you. That's
and it was a pretty good pitch. I mean, the ball is sinking down around chin high, and he hits it out of there like that on the line.
You talk about Manny Ramirez, like I said, 5 homers in a 2-game span to tie the Major League record in September. 6 homers over a 3-game span, which has been done 7 times. Mike Schmidt was the last to do it before that. 8 homers over that 5-game span. Only he and Frank Howard have done that. You're just seeing the power of Manny Ramirez. Put an end to some of our Eckersley stories for a while. I mean, that was a... I don't even think that rope... That was a deep froze. Deep frozen rope.
Yeah.
Now Jimmy Williams, has... what they're all going to want to know. Is it Pedro tomorrow? What's it going to be, Roy? Yes or no? Eckersley comes back to strike out Comey.
Watch the movement of this ball down with Eckersley. It goes down the home run pitch. The ball is way down. Good pitch, but not good enough. Ramirez, I guess, has hit so many he doesn't have to worry about him. He just can't believe, as he says, Christ.
That's exactly what
That's what he said.
That was a good pitch. You're right, Ray. Travis Fryman to trot Nixon, and there's 2 outs. Back to Eckersley. I mean, he's still going, man, I did pretty well here. He's 100 wins as a starter and a reliever. How about over a 2-year span one time with Oakland? 2 years over a span where he's saved about 90 games. He walked 7 batters. But Manny Ramirez got the better of him. He said, well, I remember reading about you, or my folks telling me that you used to pitch for Cleveland. I certainly wouldn't remember that.
Well, in 87 and 88, just real quick with X, I faced him in the American League, and he'd come right at you, but the first pitch would be so effective. Throw that first pitch on the black away to the 0-1. See you later.
Johnny Valentin squeezes the pop by Brian Giles. Manny Ramirez's second homer of the game has given Cleveland a 3-run lead, but the heaviest of metal coming up for the Red Sox in the bottom of the 9th.
My parents...
The Red Sox have their work cut out for them, but they've got the guys that can do it. Cleveland 4, Boston 1. Chris Berman and Ray Knight with you in the bottom of the 9th at Fenway. Valentin, Vaughn, Garcia-Parra. The 40-save man for the Cleveland Indians, Mike Jackson, who pitched his longest outing of the season, a 2-inning save in Game 2, has come on in relief of Charles Nagy. Nagy was brilliant. Jackson now will try to close the door on Boston and give Cleveland a 2-1 lead.
With Nagy only 89 pitches. Great job talking about going out and doing the job on the road in a crucial series, matching up against outstanding pitcher Bret Saberhagen. Nagy could not have pitched any better.
Valentin singled his last time up in the 6th. The rocket that Fryman handles 1 out.
Mike Jackson, fastball, slider, throws an occasional changeup, possesses one of the best sliders in all the game. That thing just kind of makes a right-hand turn. Worked his way into the closer role as Mesa last year struggled. Ended up trading Mesa, and he's become the closer and done a great job for Hargrove.
Inside to Mo Vaughn. Ball 1. No team has won more when trailing in the 8th inning, coming from behind than the Red Sox. I understand it's a 3-run deficit. They came from behind 6 times after trailing after the 8th. Vaughn, a wall scraper. Mo will think about going to second base, but his run means nothing. Does the right thing, stays at first base. Well, if he could have looked it in there, he would have broken up a double play, but that would have been nip and tuck.
Doesn't make any difference. You're exactly right. You can't go to second base and run yourself into an out when you're not the time or go-ahead run. Great job here. Fastball up and away. Justice played the ball extremely well off the left field wall. As Mo drives that ball out there high off the left field wall, Justice going over there, as we talked about, working hard, and there's a little battle out there.
Well, Justice
like
went
he's
up
rebounding, yeah.
Justice went up for the rebound, but the guard Lofton picked it off instead. Now, how big was that home run the last inning for Ramirez? Garcia-Parra would have been the tying run. Instead, the tying run is on deck in the person of Mike Stanley. Jackson, by the way, not allowed to run in the last 21 games he's pitched. Last one he's allowed August 1st.
That's an interesting pitch. 2-0 slider. I mean, that's a strange pitch there. Heck, you're up 3 runs. Throw the ball right down the middle. If you hit home run, you're still up 1.
Strike, says Rich Garcia behind the plate. 3-1. Nomar 0 for 3. Boston with just 5 hits. Same with the Tribe. Garcia Parra hits one to left center field. The Red Sox have crept to within 1. Long ball for Garcia Parra. 9 ribbies for him in this series. It's a 4-3 game.
Fastball down the middle. Garcia Parra hits it just the way it was thrown. Hard. Way out there. Over that left center field. Mike Jackson reacts. Just didn't get on top of the ball.
Mike Stanley to Vizquel. Long throw over to Rich Sexton, who's come in defensive purposes for Tomey, and there's now 2 outs. The other RBI in this game was a ground out by Garcia Parra, so he's driven in all 3. That's 10 for the series, but Boston still has to figure out how to get 1 more run. Again, that homer, the second one by Ramirez.
Yeah, and you're going to eventually have players like Garcia Parra that are going to say phooey to a jinx. They're going to be strong enough mentally, tough enough, that they're not going to worry about what everybody else thinks, and this may be the ball club that does that. Certainly if they keep Mo Vaughn here, you know, Nomar doesn't care about any jinx.
Troy O'Leary trying to get on. Charlie Nagy hoping that Jackson can close this thing and make Charlie 5-0 lifetime at Fenway against the Red Sox. O'Leary 0 for 3 and now is down to his last strike.
Well, that's one thing about Mike Jackson. He does come right at you. Huge at bat here for Troy. He's got to somehow choke up with that bat and battle this count back to even and try to somehow get on base. I mean, if he gets on base, you're in that situation now that...
Up the middle, Vizquel, Sexton, and the Indians have grabbed a 2-1 lead. Charlie Nagy wins it. Mike Jackson with a nail-biting save, if you will. Garcia Parra's home run, 2-run shot, not enough. Say this about the Indians, they've come in here and they've regained home field, and a pitching performance by a guy you forget to talk about when you name the big pitchers in the American League, Charlie Nagy.
Well, Charlie Nagy does what he's done his whole career. He's picked his ball team up, sunk the ball extremely well. Great defensive game by the Indians. Not a lot of offense by either club. Big home runs, 4 of them on the game. And failure of Dennis Eckersley to keep that 3-run deficit, 2-run deficit with a big home run by Ramirez really turned out to be the key in the ballgame.
We were treated to Nagy and Saberhagen battling, but we were also treated to Manny Ramirez pair of home runs, 4 long balls and all for Cleveland, who had many a hero. Sports Center coming up next with Bill Pito and Bob Lee. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. We have had fun in this series. We'll see where it goes. The decision's coming for Jimmy Williams. He start Pedro in Game 4. But as we leave Fenway with the final, Cleveland 4, Boston 3. For Ray Knight, I'm Chris Berman. We saw heroes.